Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel here on YouTube. My name is Bones of Life, hope you guys are all healthy and well. Today, we're going to be playing Realm of the Mad God, Exalt. And I'm going to be showing you the late game, because I'm going to be doing kind of like a mid-late game. It's weird, I'll explain it more as we go on, but let's get right into it. So what is Realm of the Mad God Exalt, you might be asking yourself? That is a game that is sort of a roguelike that you can play online with other people. There's a good selection of classes here, and you get the option to play with a style that fits you. I would say around level 20 is actually when the game begins. Max level is level 20, but that's when you get to join the kind of more hardcore zergs that are called fame trains. Now, fame unlocks the meta systems in the game, like leveling up your pet, or increasing your pet's rarity, or fusing pets together to get the best stats. Like, that's going to give you passive stat boosts, healing, extra damage, and things like that that are going to make you more powerful in the end game. As you kind of peruse around the overworld, you're going to run into other players, and they're all going to be hunting these bounties. Right here is the Avatar of the Forgotten King. Now, not all bounties are created equal. Avatar here unlocks a dungeon called the Shatters. The Shatters, if you beat it 5 times with the character, will give you a permanent +1 attack stat buff to this class any other time you choose to play it. So if you die and you respawn, you'll have that on you. Those passive buffs are called exaltations, and they stack. You can get more and more and more of them, so you want to be getting yourself to the end game, trying to get past these really hard dungeons and making yourself more powerful passively while also trying to find better gear. So you've gotten to level 20, you got some decent stats here, you find a dungeon that you want to go into. I'm choosing to do a lighter one here because I needed it for a quest. Other players can join in on any dungeon that is open in the overworld. All they have to do is come up to the spot you're on, which you can teleport to anyone on the map at any time, and they just join you. So like this guy is kind of just riding my coattails, really. Like he and I are both decently power level, but I'm really high level for this dungeon. So this is what you do. You run through the dungeon, you get to the boss, and the boss usually has these multi-stage kind of moments. This one in particular has an interesting mechanic in that in Sprite world, the floor moves in different directions, so you kind of have to watch where you're standing. Now again, remember, I'm a little over leveled here. I just wanted to kind of farm this boss, and they'll drop things like this. The Mark, which you use for crafting, tier 7 weapons and things, which is decent for my level, and of course, passive stat potions. Now, these passive stat potions are basically the core of the game. When you're grinding, you're trying to get equips, sure, but they come pretty easy. These potions are really what you have to work for. Now, the higher level monsters in that volcanic black zone are going to drop these at a rare amount. It's not going to happen often. The bounties that I was hunting down, like Avatar earlier, they almost always, as long as you contribute, will drop you at least one of these potions. And finally, when you go into dungeons of about 3 stars or above, you're almost guaranteed to get one. And as I mentioned earlier, you can get pets and level up their rarity. They each have 3 specific stats that you can then level further by feeding them using the fame that you've gained from your endgame content. You're going to want to max out the rarity of your pets as well to optimize what they can do. Now, I got into Realm of the Mad God thinking I wasn't going to play it for very long, because I played solo for a pretty big portion of the time, not even knowing you could teleport to different players on the map, which you absolutely can, and you guys should be doing. In this instance, I needed the Crawling Depths, which is a dungeon dropped by that kind of mini-boss spider monster you saw there, and I'm way too low level to be able to do it. I can help a group of similar level people, and we can get through it, and that's exactly what happens here. So the team play is very nice. It's pretty unintrusive. You can just kind of do what you do as a solo, but having a big group of people and learning how to kite together. The only thing that I found difficult was keeping track of my crosshair. I'll go into settings later, but I turned the other players into a more opaque, kind of ghostly look. That way I can kind of keep track of where my cursor is, because there's a lot going on screen. If you're getting lost right now, don't worry. It's totally understandable. Alright, so we fight our way through and we make it to the Son of Arachna here. The gimmick of this boss is that it has these eggs that are around the map. You gotta break them and they'll summon a bunch more of these little guys that you don't want to deal with later. These little pearl looking things are sending these white lines across the screen. If you touch them, you become slowed. Later in the fight, they will become red and you will take damage for doing so. Now, keep in mind I'm an archer and I am a little squishier than the rest, so once I've run out of potions, I take it easy. I cannot stress enough the permadeath. If I die here, the only thing that will outlast that death is the pet that's with me. Everything else is gone, so let's cue a little epic boss music. Ah yes, raiding its own den that it was minding its business in. Truly I am a hero of our time. You're welcome. So as I stated before, Realm of the Mad God is very much interested in keeping everyone together in a group to fight together against the biggest, baddest bosses. Now, as you go around the overworld and fight those little bounties, some of them will be literal gods, is what they call them. And if you kill, I believe it's 30 of them, then you all, and I mean everybody in the world, low level or not, gets transported to this dungeon. It's called Orb Castle. This dungeon is about half of the max difficulties of dungeons. So if you're a lower level, you're going to want to trail behind and you'll get level ups and experience. And remember, that is shared amongst everybody. So if you get, let's say, 100 experience from a monster, when that monster dies, and if you're in the vicinity, every person gets 100 experience. It is not split between X amount of players. Everybody gets the same amount of experience. The draw is the low level players get boosted to higher level. The higher level players get to access this kind of rare dungeon. You get it every once in a while, and it'll give you stat potions because there's multiple bosses and there's multiple tiers to the dungeon. So if you're a higher level, you go deeper, you fight more bosses, you get more potions. If you're familiar with MMOs, then you're also familiar with crafting, and Oryx will drop a couple of special items which you can trade alongside other lower tiered items to get set items. Now, that's kind of the end goal for the end game. You want to get a full set to get those passive buffs on top of the already pretty strong items that they are individually. Now, I think it's important for me to say that at this point of playing here, I've got, and I'll put it up on the screen right now, about 80 hours or so in this game, and I can confidently say that I'm pretty close to being finished with it for myself. This game doesn't try to goad you into saying like, oh, play for 100 hours and it's gonna be awesome. I think Realm of the Mad God does what a lot more MMOs really should do. It front loads you with the best parts of the game, except for the early game levels 1 through 20. I don't personally like that, and I wish that they would allow you to go straight to 20 from the beginning, because that's when I feel like the game really comes alive. Now, mind you, even at like your first time playing, that's only going to take you about, 45 minutes to an hour to get to max level. And even then, there's also ways to buy max level. We'll get into that a little later. After my 80 hours, I was able to attain rare level pets, which is the third skill and what you need to have your pets actually be effective. I was able to do some of the stronger dungeons. I'll put some of that in at the end here when I'm talking about systems and whatnot. And overall, the user interface, the way the game plays, the camaraderie amongst players, I enjoyed this MMO. And it kind of reminds me of BattleBit. I'd really like to make the comparison because it's not graphically impressive at all. Let's be honest here. It's 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, whatever you want to call it, and they did a fantastic job with letting you just enjoy a game for the simple gameplay. So hate it or love it, this game is right up front with how it's going to be. You're gonna know within the first 30 minutes to an hour if you're gonna keep playing this game or if you're gonna uninstall and be done with it. Alright, so my conclusion on this is if you're into roguelikes and if you like bullet hell type games, this will be a blast for you, especially if you're more socially inclined like I am online and love your parasocial relationships. This will be a fun one for you to try. If you're an MMO fan, you'll probably like it too. But I did want to say that everything after this will be background footage and me talking about settings and things for the newer players that it helped me make the game so much more accessible, and I didn't learn about it until a little bit later. Alright, let's get into the nitty gritty. So, number 1, you're going to want to look at your keybinds. On the right side there, you see those 1 through 8s. Those are all hotkeys that you can use. I like to fill up my backpack with potions. You can use those potions from the hotbar, as well as those 2 little rectangles underneath are your hotkeys where I just played that potion. Survival is paramount, so having a backpack full of potions and both of your hotbars full with potions, you no longer need to worry about dying as much. I rebind those hotkeys, which are by default the bottom left, where the 1 out of 6 is right now you're seeing. That is by default F, and the one next to it by default is V. I have a mouse that has the 2 buttons on the left hand side with the thumb. I like to use those as my hotkey buttons just so I can quickly smack that button in case I need to heal. Another button you're going to want to know about is R. R will return you to the Nexus. That is also a good one to put back onto your mouse, but you can bind it to whatever key is accessible. Just don't be searching for it. You want to be able to hit that key in case things go bad, and do not feel any shame if you are dying, losing. Get out of there. Stay alive. Other notable keys are going to be X. X is going to off-center your character. So if you've noticed, my character is kind of more south on the screen, so I have more northern or like above my head view. I find this easier, not everyone will, but I think it's worth trying at least. And while we're discussing free real estate, O and P will zoom out the camera so you can get the maximum distance and be able to see more of the screen. By holding the left control key and clicking on the entrance to a dungeon, it will announce to the entire server that it's here and what grade it is with your name next to it. If you push J, J will open up the social menu. You'll be able to see everyone that's in the world. All you gotta do is scroll down the list, find whatever person said that, click on them, and teleport to them. And finally, the pop-up menu on the left that shows you your quests, as well as the overall chat that's going on in the world, can be minimized by pushing K. I don't know why, but every time you respawn in the world, you'll have to push K again. Developers, if you're listening, please fix that. It is quite annoying and unnecessary. If I toggle it off, I want it off until I push the key again. You'll want to save a good portion of your fame so that you can get and level up your pet yard. Your pet yard will allow you the passive buff and the first real power spike you're going to feel in the late game. The Crucible. The Crucible is going to be on the left side of the Nexus. It's a soldier there with a cape. He will allow you in this specific season to gain extra experience. So if you're doing the grindy part, the level 1 through 20, I would recommend using it. It will come with some stat debuffs as well, like this one minuses your speed a little bit. It's totally worth it, because if your character dies from level 1 to 20, it kind of doesn't matter anyway. Anything above level 20 dying is where you're really going to feel it. Now, maybe you're a whale type person. If you like to spend money in video games and you enjoyed yourself here and want to do so, this game does give you instant level 20 potions or experience buff potions, things that'll allow you to skip the early game if you're not into that. While on the topic of the cash shop, I think it's really important to say that this game does absolutely take part in the predatory pricing of the premium currency. I can't get behind this, but it tends to do the thing where you need, let's say, 3,000 for this item, and they'll sell you a pack of like 2,600 or whatever. It's very close to that, needing a little bit more, or just not having enough, or annoyingly having a little bit extra. They try to get you to buy more that way, and I find it to be predatory. I don't condone it, but I am making you guys aware of your options. And with that, that's all I've got for you guys on my review of the endgame of Realm of the Mad God Exalt. So I hope you guys try this game. Let me know down in the comments below if you do. Drop a like on the video if you're into that. Subscribe if you're into that. And thank you guys so much for watching. Have an excellent day. Bye-bye.